school so much? What are you looking at, weirdo? This Johnson sure is looking hot today.
Depression, anger, horniness, and being up at 6:30 in the morning. Hey people, it's Zach, and school is back. And of course, that means that.
So, school. Those are some quick reflexes. It's where you sit and learn and draw rude things on people's desks. But after doing this for weeks upon weeks, you need a break. So that's where summer comes into the story. 2 to 3 months of pure relaxation and bliss. And let's not forget about all the fun things you can do with summer toys. But all good things must come to an end at some point, and eventually it becomes time to head back to school and get your butt kicked by that one jock everybody hates. But in order to do that, you need supplies.
Oh boy, do you.
Well, yes, that supplies, but also school supplies. With school, you gotta get hands-on with your activities, so you need stuff like markers and rulers and scissors. Well, maybe not the scissors, don't want that jock to use your supplies against you. I don't need school supplies anymore, but when I did, you could always count on Crayola to hook you up with the good stuff. In my class, Crayola was the basic, standard, always reliable manufacturer. I mean, if you showed up with crazy art or something, the door's right there. Usually you would just have the basic 12 or 24 pack, but you could tell a kid had rich parents if they had the 64 or 120 crayon pack. Oh my gosh, guys, do you think we should be friends with him?
Because his parents bought him a bunch of wax?
I like crayons. I think I definitely prefer colored pencils just because they're a lot cleaner. But these are some of the easiest ways to get your kids to stop bawling their eyes out for 5 minutes. But crayons aren't all there is. You also got some markers, basically crayons, except they cause more damage to your walls. I was never that much of a marker person. If you use it too much in one area, it makes the paper all soggy, and eventually you just stab right through it. You could either get the big fat ones or the scrawny little skinny ones, and I would flip-flop between these each school year. It was a tough decision. Sure, adults have to decide what flavor of juice their kids will probably like, but that's nothing compared to being a kid and having to choose between markers. The bigger ones, sure, they might cover more area, but they're also less precise. The thinner ones, they're more precise and you can refine your details a little bit more, but it also takes a lot longer to cover a complete area.
I always put more thought into that than my actual schoolwork.
Then, of course, you have folders for storing all of your precious papers. And man, I have a ton of these things. Every time I go to move a piece of furniture, bam, 5 folders fall out. I'm convinced the insulation in my walls are folders. I think I might have thrown some away, considering I could only find a few, but it's fun to look back on these and go, those were the days back when I couldn't write the word merry-go-round without cracking up. I swear I had more lying around my house, but that homeless guy that lives in my garage and calls himself the folder monster probably had something to do with that.
Wait, what?!
And when I got into 6th grade, I also got this giant binder to store all my folders in. 6th grade is when you have to start walking to your classes, yet they still expect you to take PE. So having a folder like this made it a lot easier to carry around all my papers and folders, and I also had a stash of pencils. This one kid always took my pencils though, since he always forgot to bring one, and he never gave them back. He also had the nerve to throw them on the ground when I did ask for them back. I don't usually swear, but I've been waiting to say this for a long time. Kid, if you're watching this, you. And of course, it wouldn't be a school supplies list without colored pencils. These are my jam. They're so satisfying to use for me. Like I said earlier, with markers you make your paper all soggy. With crayons they leave these little flakes everywhere. But colored pencils, you can use them without making a mess. And if you were a privileged child, and if you had the best parents, you had the colored pencils that could erase just like a regular pencil. My parents went through those name changes for a reason. I believe it was 5th grade when I got these, and man, I thought I was the coolest kid. Like, oops, I made a mistake, not a problem.
But that was the correct answer. I'm trying to show off, okay?
But imagine my dismay when I realized that these just weren't as good as the basic colored pencils. They're a lot rougher and less smooth to draw with, so you can't really glide your hand across the paper, which makes coloring things take forever. Not to mention that they don't cover the area as good as regular colored pencils. It's definitely a lot thinner of a layer of pencil. I'm assuming they did this to make it easier to erase, but I thought these would be an upgrade, but if anything, they're a downgrade. Like, yeah, they're still usable, but the experience is better with traditional colored pencils. They do stay true to their word though, they do technically erase, but it's at the cost of the user experience. I wouldn't really recommend these. Not only are they slightly more expensive, but they just don't work as well. I would only recommend these if you're the type of person who ruins everything.
So if you're like me.
And last but not least, you've got rulers.
They're pieces of wood.
Hey, I can talk about anything. Ask me to explain death to a child, I'll do it and only have them cry for 5 minutes. I think I finally met my match. Did anybody ever buy these flexible rulers? I did once. I don't know why you would, my paper's never curved upwards or downwards, so I don't know why you would need these, but look how fun this is! But this is how I met one of my best friends. He had his flexible ruler sitting on the desk across from me, and being the demon child I was, I took it and gave it a big, hearty bend. And then he went and told the teacher that I'd bent his flexible ruler, even though he could've just bent it back into place. We were at each other's throats for the rest of the year, but towards the end we reconciled and forgave each other. And that was the day we became best friends, all because of a ruler.
Wow. All these things bring back such great memories, and they kind of make me miss going to school. You know what? I'm going back. That probably wasn't the best idea.